Namaste. Good morning. My name is Chantelle and I'm going to be guiding you through your morning meditation practice this morning. So if you haven't been along to one of the sessions before, everything's going to be fully guided, really simple to follow. And today we're going to be exploring how to bring balance to the mind. I'm sure that we can all appreciate how our mind can either be our best friend or our worst enemy. And I think given the current climate of what's happening in the world, we can really see the impact of how our external environment really can play havoc in the mind. And so today's session is really just about highlighting some of the key practices that you can take into your daily life to bring that state of balance back, and to have some discussion around some very important things to consider about the interconnection between our body and our mind, and also our environment and the things that we take in. So just to begin though, let's just get nice and comfortable, and we're going to start off with some breathing, some pranayama. So roll those shoulders up, back and down a few times. I've decided to do the practice outside this morning because being out in nature, being outdoors is also a very nice way to bring some balance to the mind. So I thought it tied in really nicely with the theme of today's session. So I want you just to close your eyes and just start to soften the muscles around your face. We close our eyes because this encourages us just to turn inwards a bit more, helping to avoid distractions around us. And just feeling your legs, bottom in the seat. You can be cross-legged or in a chair, whatever's more comfortable for your body. And just start to take your awareness now to your shoulders, starting to relax all the tension away from your shoulders. And just scan the body, starting from the crown of the head, working all the way down towards your toes. And let's just do a check-in with the body. It's not very often that we stop and just turn inwards and just see how we're traveling. So this is an opportunity to do that this morning, just taking some time out, checking where is the areas of tension in your body, noticing how you felt when you woke up this morning. Also just seeing different things that can give us a little window in terms of how our health and well-being is reflecting upon different things like how did you sleep last night, and how have you been feeling after you've been eating your food. How's your digestion been? Have you been feeling quite bloated, or do you feel quite satisfied and nourished? And now just noticing the breath. We're not trying to control it yet. We're just seeing where the breath is. It might be high up in the lungs here, maybe deep down near the navel, which is the lower part of the lungs. We're not trying to control the breath yet, but we're just simply observing. And for me personally, what I've come to understand is that the breath can represent different qualities. When I'm stressed and anxious, I can feel it in my breath. The quality of it has changed. It's quite restricted. It will be sitting quite high up in the chest area. You know, there's like a buzziness to the breath. And when I'm quite grounded and steady, you can feel that flow of the breath. So just checking in to see if there's anything that you can pick up in terms of the energy of your breath. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if 1's not so good and 10's good, just rating how this little check-in has been. How do you feel physically, mentally, and spiritually? Give yourself a little pre-meditation rating. So now we're going to start to connect with the breath. There's a lot of connection between the body and the mind and the breath, this mind-body complex. And the qualities of the mind, it's a subtle energy, it's a subtle covering. And so the qualities that it's made up of is air and space, the material elements. And so the breath really supports that nicely, because the prana also has those qualities. And so when we soothe that vata energy, that air and space energy in the body, then it can also really help to bring balance to the mind. So we're going to explore 2 different breathing techniques. So first of all is our complete yoga breathing. So just bring your hands onto your abdomen with your fingers slightly touching. We're going to breathe into our hands, and you'll feel that as you breathe into the hands, the fingertips will gently just part, and exhaling, we draw the navel back. Try to breathe in and out through your nose. This is the lower part of the lungs, often neglected. And then we're going to cross our hands over our rib cage, like we're giving ourselves a little hug. Breathe into the hands. This time you'll notice the rib cage will move away from the spine. And exhaling back, the rib cage will move back towards the spine. And then finally bring your hands onto your chest. This is where we do most of our breathing. Breathing in and exhale, relaxing and releasing. Just feel how all the muscles around the neck and shoulders really have to work hard, helping the breathing process. And then keep one hand there, bring one back to the navel as we link it together. We're going to breathe into that bottom hand, letting the abdomen expand out like a balloon. Draw the breath up through the rib cage area, up to the upper lungs, the collarbones will rise. And then just relaxing the breath, letting the breath empty from the upper lungs, moving back down through the middle lungs, ending in the base of the lungs, where we draw the navel back towards the spine, taking a pause and then starting the cycle again. So you might notice now that the mind, as we start to try and do this activity, the mind has a will of its own and is trying to deviate, taking you away in different areas. When you notice it's drawing you away, just draw it back to the breath and continue to rediscipline the mind to where you want to direct it. Take the breath nice and slow. Don't overextend it. And just really fully utilize the full capacity of your lungs. Already I can start to feel that those gears turning down. And as we start to slow down, it's a nice invitation just to turn inwards now, because this is where we really want to grow our awareness, is more internally. This is what meditation allows us to cultivate, is an inner world. So that no matter what's going on in the external environment, we are fixed, we are unshakable, we are steady because of this inner world that we have taken time out to develop, ideally on a daily basis. Okay, relaxing the hands down. One of my other favorite breathing techniques is called the Hummingbird Breath or Brahmari breathing. We're going to inhale like we have been doing. However, as we exhale, we're going to bring a humming sound to the throat for 3 cycles as we exhale like this. And then we're going to move to different parts of the body. So move in your own time, exhaling, inhale. and humming. Two more times. We'll increase the pitch so the vibration sits in the forehead. Lowering the pitch so it rests in the sternum area now. Beautiful. So hopefully you can experience for yourself just how these breathing techniques really helps to balance the energy of the mind. We're just getting started now we're going to start to bring some meditation into our practice this morning. And this just takes it to the next level. So we're going to practice with the breath, but we're going to add something called a yoga mantra to the breath now. Now a mantra, ma means mind and tra means to draw away. So by resting our mind in this yoga sound, it actually frees the mind from all the worries and concerns. It's super simple. We're going to do it with a guided CD, and I'm going to drop the link into the comments below so you can practice at your own time. So we inhale like we have been doing, but as we exhale, we're going to then add the yoga sound Goranga, Goranga, broken up into 4 syllables. All we have to do is make a little effort just to focus the mind on this sound. Let the sound wash over you. Just feel the vibration through your body. It's very nice and soothing. Okay, so this will be us exhaling all together. Now let's take an inhalation. Exhale. Once again, if the mind's wandered off, just draw it back onto the yoga sound. Goranga. Let's do 2 more deep, long, relaxing breaths. Beautiful. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling quite refreshed in the mind. There's a steadiness, but there's an alertness, and this is a very nice place, because when we have cultivated this state of mind, what it enables us to do is to be a little bit more aware as we go throughout our day. I want to talk to you about something called conscious consumption. Everything that we expose ourselves to throughout the day with our 5 senses of the body gets stored. It leaves an impression, and where it gets stored is in the mind. So a yogi is very conscious about what they expose themselves to, because they know the interconnectedness between the senses of the body and how they use them, and how those impressions remain in the mind. So from different things, like what we listen to, the sounds that we take in, the conversations that we have with people, whether we surround ourselves around gossip, the environments have a different influence, whether we're at the beachside or right in the heart of the city. Those sounds are leaving an impression on the mind. They can either stimulate and agitate, or they can either soothe, right? Same thing with our tongue, what we take into our body, the foods that we take. This all leaves an impression on the body, and different foods also have a different influence on the mind. For example, heavy, oily type of foods can really bring that kind of dull effect to the mind, whereas things like, spicy food and chilies and stuff like that, can be quite stimulating for the mind. So it's very fascinating when you just stop to actually reflect on your actions throughout the day, and by the end of the day, if you take some time just to self-reflect, you might be able to start to see how you chose to act can leave a certain impression and outcome on your mind and on your day. So conscious consumption is very interesting and something to consider about what you choose to consume. What we do with our eyes, the senses of our eyes, what we choose to read, the types of things we watch, whether we're watching heavy movies, that are filled with violence and trauma and stuff like that, or they're all leaving an impression, how much time we spend on our devices, etc. So the senses of the body are really interconnected with the mind, and everything gets stored there. So we're going to practice a little technique now called mindfulness meditation, because in yoga it teaches us how we're separate from the mind. The mind is our possession, and us, the living being within, we have that subtle covering of the mind and the body. And so we can actually become the observer and watch what the mind puts through without being swept away by it. And we can act with greater awareness and clarity. So we're going to have a little go at just practicing this mindfulness technique. It's a really great thing to incorporate into your life. So just closing your eyes, and just for a few moments, I want you to pay attention to the different thoughts that are being presented in the mind. So like there's a screen in your mind that we can watch these thoughts, and they might come in a variety of different things. They might be presented as past memories. different emotions, different anxieties, different desires. That's a big one. Desiring different things and following the desires of the mind. They might come in the form of different suggestions or justifications, perhaps some judgments. So let's just spend a moment just watching the activities of the mind. And once again, tuning into the qualities of the mind. Notice how the mind is very flickering. It presents something and then it passes away and something else comes through. That it's ever changing. But us, the living being within, can watch the activities of the mind on the screen of the mind. Just taking this opportunity now to take a step back from the thinking process and becoming a little aloof and detached from the mind's activities. We can be the silent witness, observing the passing parades of thoughts, feelings, emotions. This is all a product of the mind. And so often we have so much faith in the mind, and whatever it presents, we feel that, yes, we have to follow it. Yes, we have to feel it. But in fact, the temporary nature of the mind is just that, temporary. And when we can learn to step back from the activities of the mind, we can achieve a greater sense of peace. Because if we're always following the dictations of the mind, it's not a very peaceful situation. Learning to step back from the mind can help us to choose more consciously and seek better outcomes in our life. For example, instead of acting out of anger, we can experience, now I'm under the influence of anger, and we can step back from that, and we can press the pause button, we can do some deep breathing or some counting or some meditation. And then when we feel like we're in a state of greater awareness and clarity, then we can respond to situations. So if you feel like you're in a bit of a rut, or maybe you're going around in circles, then maybe this is something to consider adding to your life, this meditation. It can really transform so much of our lives. And now just a little visualization to really consolidate this practical tool of mindfulness, which is in fact a pre-meditation tool. Imagine yourself just sitting on the side of a stream, and you're just watching the stream flow before your eyes. Sometimes the stream is quite fast and the water is quite murky and dirty. Sometimes the water is quite clear and steady, and you can see the pebbles on the bottom of the stream. And this is a representation of our mind. But we can just watch that stream from the side of the bank. We don't have to jump into the stream, splash around, identify with everything that's going on in the stream. We can just step back and be that silent witness, that observer. So to really cut through the influence that the mind can have on us and to really grow this awareness in our life, we need a source that that is more powerful than the mind. And so that's why we engage with these yoga mantras, because it gives the mind something of a higher nature to focus on. And then so gradually it really starts to free the mind. All that noise that's there in the mind starts to fade in the background. So we're using a meditation aid today with beads. And the beads are great because they connect into the senses of the body, like we were talking about. So the more that our senses are directed one-pointedly in our meditation practice, the mind, which is considered the king of the senses, is likely to follow. So that's why we use meditation aids to help us. So that's beads. We're using the sense of touch. In this meditation practice, we're engaging the ears by listening to the yoga sound, and we're speaking it. So 3 out of the 5 senses are engaged. So that's very nice, very helpful to regulate the mind to where you want it to go. So we're going to use the yoga mantra Om Hari Om. So we have the head bead here. If you don't have a set of beads, then please, we can get you a set of beads. They're a great tool to have. You can just put them in your bag, in your car. They're great when you're trying to create new habits, or if you know, before a stressful situation, an interview at work or an exam or something like that. Really good to help ground the mind down. For today's practice, you can also just use your fingers and just add a little bit of pressure as we go through the practice, feeling that sense of touch with the fingers. So we don't say anything on this bead with the tassel, that's considered the head bead. We start with the bead next to it. Yeah, and then we're going to say the mantra Om Hari Om per bead. Then we draw the bead in towards us, and then we move to the next one and we say the next mantra Om Hari Om, and so forth until we work our way around. Now I'm going to set a speed for our practice today, but we all have different speeds of the mind. So just when you want to do this in your own time, just find a rhythm that works for you. We want to be able to say the syllables clearly and to be able to hear it. We don't want to be going too slow where we're spacing out, or too fast where we're just racing over it. Okay, so please join in. Om Hari Om. 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 2 more beads. Om Hari Om. Om Hari Om. We arrive back at the head bead. If you wanted to do more, we just turn around the same way and go back the same way. We generally don't cross the head bead. So to end, our final meditation practice is kirtan, usually done in a group setting, but I'd like to share it with you just momentarily because it's very beautiful. So I've got my instrument here. You mostly can't see it, but it's called a harmonium. So I'm going to say the yoga sound Om Hari Om. You listen and then you respond back. just now, just scaling yourself 1 to 10, how you're feeling now, physically, mentally, spiritually. Thank you very much. Lovely guiding you through this practice. Look forward to connecting with you soon. Any questions, please reach out. Namaste.